never give up. I never give up. I never give up.
Hi guys, welcome back to Neff Inspiration, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stephan Neff. Today is a fantastic day because I can do another interview, and this interview is very close to my heart because it's all about sleep and our societal pressures, the pressures that we put upon ourselves, even leave alone all the crap that is going on around us, is not really conducive to a good nighttime sleep. And rest, waking up truly rested, is a completely foreign concept for so many people out there. So who better to talk about that than Bijoy John? Dr. Bijoy John is a sleep physician, and I can't wait to really take a deep dive into the sleep, into the physiology, pathophysiology, into the practical things that we can do. And more importantly, to bring home to you guys why it is so bloody important to actually get off the hamster wheel and make sure that you're actually chilling down and then get some rest during which you can heal, during which you can become the best version of yourself. Bijoy, welcome to my show.
Thanks, Stephan. It's just a pleasure and honor to be on your show. I've been looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And it's so bizarre. The sleep in many societies has been a lost art, really. We are living in very, very confusing times, often in very noisy environments, because there is so much chaos out there. Is there any chance for us humans at all to create the right circumstances to sleep? I mean, that's one question that we need to answer. But I mean, first of all, Bijoy, how long have you been in the job already? I mean, you're a very experienced man.
Yes, more than 25 years in this specialty. So
Right.
I've been from the beginning.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And I was about to say, the sleep medicine, that is not a long-standing thing. No, this is a one of the newer subspecialties, isn't it?
Correct. Yes, it's about 30 years old. So it's just gaining more and more momentum and importance as we all are recognizing the value and the importance of sleep on all aspects, whether it's mental, physical, psychological. We can be the best if we can just sleep. So it's going to continue to grow. At least we can talk about it and, let people know the power. I call the sleep the superpower among all functions. That's it.
Why? Why is it so? I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, if you look at it statistically, we spend about a third of our life sleeping, or we should be. Why?
Exactly. So we do so many things in our sleep. We heal in our sleep. We grow in our sleep. We control our blood pressure in our sleep. We dream so we can resolve all the conflicts. So, it improves memory. It consolidates all the thought process, improves learning. What else do you need? But it's a lost art because of the societal pressures, like you mentioned, especially with the advent of the noise, you said, and the use of cell phones. We are all vulnerable. I am too. And everyone else we are living in it. But we have to find a way, because once you sleep well, you can concentrate, but I've heard it. Sleep is it's overrated. You can sleep when you die. Where do you sleep? But the reality is, if you don't sleep, you're going to die, really. So you can sleep and get a lot of things done if you sleep enough. So that's the important point I want to stress everyone.
Absolutely true. And I mean, if you don't believe us, Bijoy, is there a relationship between, let's say, shift work and chronically disturbed sleep patterns and health span and lifespan?
Correct. I myself was working a lot of shifts because I was an intensive care specialist. So I spent about majority of my life in the ICU for more than 25 years. I was doing that. So my shift was changing, daytime, nighttime. So it's a simple fact. First thing is, when you see, we have our own circadian rhythm because our body goes at a 24-hour period. But then you're supposed to sleep at certain time. So now the whole body is confused. So the secretion of hormones, especially the growth hormone, cortisol, and all those are thrown. And also, when you're awake a lot, you have a tendency to eat more. and and when you're tired, you grab the unhealthy,
Oh
high
yeah.
glycemic foods.
Oh yeah.
So that can lead to obesity and a certain sleep problems and all kinds of metabolic problems that
Mm,
happen to us.
mm,
So to answer question, is shift worker, it's a shift worker sleep disorder is a major problem.
mm,
It can, they found statistics that people who work shifts are creating more errors in their job. They live less. They're more prone for cancer, diabetes,
mm,
and I mentioned about the eating habits, overweight, all kinds of problems happen
mm,
in shift workers. So
mm,
that's the shift worker sleep disorder problem.
mm,
Absolutely not the
mm.
best thing for you.
Exactly. And I think it is we need to be realistic. Yes, of course, there are increasing pressures. Gone are the times when we got up at sunrise and really then started winding down at sunset. Nowadays, we burn the candle on all ends and in the middle.
Correct.
That is a big pitfall. It can be a huge benefit if you harness the powers or the circadian rhythms that are within you. For
Correct.
example, if you say that okay, we all need to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go for a jog. Well, guess what? Whilst there is a certain general circadian rhythm, there are also subtypes of people. There are the night owls that are
Yes.
naturally tending to be going later to bed, and there are the early morning risers,
Right.
which really are most productive at 5. But you can't
Correct.
just force those people into drawers. So it's a
True.
benefit to be able to adapt with electricity and modern means. At the same
Correct.
token, it's a curse, as you have
Yes.
highlighted.
Yes.
So the sleep in itself, there's often a question with, see, I don't need much sleep. I'm a man. I can do 3 hours and then I'm happy. Um,
Correct.
is there data out there to say what an average sleep duration is? Well, and we say average, I mean that's a mean of 50. Of course you have got standard deviations one side or the other, but what are sort of good times that we would expect most people to fit into? How long
Correct.
do people sleep?
Great question. I get asked that, multiple times a day. So for an adult, the good number is between 7 to 8. Children need more. They need 10 plus hours.
Mm,
Small children need even more, and babies need even more.
mm,
So I say 7 to 8 hours. So the key answer here is, how do you feel the next day? Having slept 8 hours, are you still tired? Then
exactly.
you really have a problem. See, if you lose 1 hour a night, and if you lose 1 hour a night for a week, so that's about 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours of sleep debt. That means you're not slept one whole night in a week. How about
Mm,
that? If you just think like that, so you are
nice.
losing sleep. So when you mention some people can function, that's few people. They're called the short sleepers, like our previous president, like Trump, President Obama, Elon Musk. They're all short sleepers. They can get away with a few hours, even. But yeah, Elon Musk came and say, hey, everybody needs to sleep sleep more, because he has found himself not doing well with less sleep. So that's a very small percentage of us, but majority of us, including you and me and common, everyone else, need 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
Mm. And for me, that's too short in actual fact. I realize that if I go to bed at 10, pretty much lights out at 10, then if I get up before 7, I'm groggy. So I need just the 7:30. It's a sweet
Okay.
spot for me then. And
Okay.
that's something that I figured out.
Okay.
So everyone is different. So
Everyone
therefore,
is different.
that's really, really important to understand. But
Correct.
I think we need to highlight again why it actually is so important. You were saying that during sleep so much happens, but
Correct.
um, the let's go on to the healing of the body, because during the day, during fight and flight, during the activity, there's the sympathetic nervous system reigns.
Exactly. Yes.
What happens at nighttime?
All right, perfect. So why do we need that many hours of sleep? Sleep is simple but complicated. It's a delicate balance between the awake chemicals and the sleep chemicals. One side is the norepinephrine, epinephrine,
Mm,
dopamine, and the histamine, and the other side is the melatonin and GABA. trying. It's a balance. So nature has programmed us to do it in a fine balance. So there are many cycles and stages of sleep. Sleep is like it's
Mm,
classified into non-REM sleep and REM sleep.
mm,
We enter sleep through non-REM, and that is divided into 1, 2, and 3, and then we go into REM sleep or REM sleep. REM, the first part is like slight sleep, but when you reach the stage 3 of non-REM, that is a sweet sleep, I call it.
mm,
That's what you need. We are all
mm,
craving that.
mm,
Then REM sleep is a common misperception. It is restful. It is not. Your
mm.
brain is active. That's where you heal. I don't like my boss. I don't like. So you resolve the conflicts in that sleep. Dreaming, which is like almost spiritual. How do you
Yeah.
dream and resolve your conflicts? So that helps to consolidate memory, resolve conflicts. So that's what you need. We go through like 3 or 4 cycles. Each cycle, lasts about 90 minutes. So that's why you need a percentage of non-REM sleep, and you need a percentage of REM sleep. How you feel depends on how much you spend in N3 or the sweet sleep. That is the most sacred, beautiful sleep. We are all in a deep trance. That's where you completely, your body is resting and resetting.
Beautiful. And that is, of
Yes.
course, yes, nirvana for many
Yeah,
people.
that's it.
But then again, we are sometimes our worst enemies
Yes.
because there are so many factors. First of all, we need to be quite clear.
Yes.
If it's so easy in modern society that they say, now I want one pill, or what one intervention do I need to do to sleep well forever now? Yeah, well, yeah, right about that. There is not one
Yes.
thing. The
That's
the
right.
the body is a beautiful interconnecting system of spider webs. And if you pull
Yes.
somewhere one string, there are flow-on effects throughout the whole bloody system.
Correct.
So
Yes.
therefore, there is not one answer now. So guys, if you think, hey, great, we wait for 2 seconds and he gives us the magic tip, forget it. Okay. Sorry, guys, you need to hang in there till the end because there will be a lot of good things. But what
Yes.
are sort of the things where we can start off with? So we've
Yes.
we've decided that sleep is good,
Yes.
but how do we know what do we do? Yes.
That's my purpose. Let's, just great question. So, this is I call this the new pandemic. This is like everywhere. So we are here, right? What are we going to do about it, right? So that's why I decided to write my book. It's called Nobody's Sleeping. That's the title of my book, and the subtitle is the 7 Proven Sleep Strategies for Better Health and Happiness. So here's where I give you the 7 key strategies. There's no magic pill. There's no one strategy. It's like taking stairs. It's a process, but it's well worth it. If you can do with the following strategies, you can follow it. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, bring it on,
Oh,
man.
all right. So, we need an acronym. My daughter is in law school. I said, Dad, this is great, but people need to simplify. So I have the acronym. It's called Sleep Now. SLEEPNOW. Sleep
Okay.
Now. So the 7 proven strategies, I made it into a simple format, right? So you guys ready? First is S is a schedule, right? We have to have a schedule for everything, planning, success. So for
Mm,
sleeping, you need to have a schedule. So uh, the best time to sleep is between 10 and 6. So it could be plus 30 minutes,
mm,
this way, that way. So first thing is sleep schedule, all right? So we
mm,
have to have a schedule. One important little tidbit here, if you're suffering from insomnia, you go to bed at 10 and you can sleep till midnight. Most people, what they do, they start sleeping from 9 p.m. So you're going to struggle even more, right? So if you're struggling to go to sleep, if you go to bed at 10 and you only can sleep at midnight, go to bed by 11:30. This is the
mm,
most important technique. This is called sleep restriction. it,
mm,
it does wonders in people. So you're restricting your sleep, but keep the alarm at 6 a.m. to wake up. All
mm,
right. So once you got this, well, we have a schedule. All right. So we got that as a
mm,
basic tool. Next is the L,
mm,
is low temperature, low lighting, and low noise. Why is it important? The low temperature is important for the secretion of melatonin. The melatonin is a dark hormone. It only secretes under low temperature. So that's why people in tropical climates don't sleep much. You're going on vacation on a tropical climate because your melatonin is not going to secrete. So I tell people to experiment between 65 to 69 to go to sleep. So
Mhm.
and then low noise and low light. We are done ourselves bad thing by looking at the phone in bed, right? So the light from the phone, especially in bed, there's no ambient light.
Mhm.
So the light tells the brain it's still daytime. You can't go to sleep. So again, we are destroying the secretion of body's melatonin. What were you doing? Of course, right?
Mhm.
So and of course comes with the same thing is the low noise, which helps us to have a so darken the room, lower the noise and make sure you are comfortable before you go to bed. So we captured SL. The next is the electronics, the major problem, all of us, right?
Mhm.
All of us. So this is I tell my cell phone is my best friend. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to be with it. Like I'm spending 2-3 hours, but kids are spending
Easy.
7, 8, 9 hours on
Mm.
it. So
True.
the electronics, what it is powers your mind. In your brain, you are not able to rest well. Of course, I mentioned about the light. So electronics, how do you know electronics is a problem or you have an addiction? If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you're doing is reaching your phone, that's a clear-cut problem, sign that you have cell phone addiction. That's it. Instead of your toothbrush, if you're taking the phone, you're done. You have a cell phone addiction. So you're recognizing that. So you have something to say, sir.
No, no. I was just thinking that's exactly what I do. But the very first thing
Yes.
I check is the news,
Yes.
and I'm a history slash current affairs addict,
Yes.
I guess. I want to know what
Yes.
happened whilst I slept. So yes, I
Yes.
grab it. What's the news? Then I go to the toilet
Yes.
and take it from there. So it is
Yeah.
yes. Yes and no.
Yes.
If you're a stockbroker, then
Yes.
yeah. If you're, however, I very much
Yes.
agree. If the very
Yes.
first thing that you do is go through Facebook and go for
Yes.
Instagram, and
Exactly.
so
And your
no,
likes.
exactly. No,
Yes.
no, no. I mean, so distinguish between job and
Yes.
requirements versus yeah our addiction to just numbing our brains, and I think
Okay.
that is what you are talking about, and that I 100% subscribe to. So
Yes.
SLE.
Uh-huh. So I'll just finish out once you have a problem, how to resolve it.
Yeah.
So the best way is to, I keep tell people it's a cell phone free zone. Make sure you don't use your cell phone an hour prior to
Ah,
going to
right.
sleep, and also keep your cell phone away from your bed in next door or a little bit far away, and set an alarm the time you wake up. So you have to literally wake up. And you're not hitting the snooze button. You don't have the dings and the electronic notifications. So you are good. So it is away from you because you don't have the temptation. Plus, if you pick up the phone and see it's 3 in the morning, you're like, oh my God, I got only 2 hours to sleep. Oh, I only slept 2 hours. All those things increases your cognitive activity and you can go back to sleep. So remove it far away. Okay.
I
So
like it.
we've
I
done
like it.
SLE. All right.
Yep.
The next E is exercise. So
Mm.
make sure we don't exercise at least 4 hours prior to going to sleep, because when you exercise, you're releasing endorphins and cortisol, which are stimulants.
Mm.
Most people, are stimulated, but there are a few people who, after an exercise, they can go to sleep. But that's an exception than the rule.
Mm.
So majority of the people are revved up. So make sure
Mm.
it's also a process of calming your. First, you calm your body, then you calm your mind. So this is in the process of. It's a ritual to get to bed. There are
Mm.
steps to do. We all want sleep to be an on-off switch, but sleep is a dimmer. You have to dial it down. This is
I like
one
it.
process,
I like
one
it.
process in our life. You can just grab it. We want to, like, hustle
Nice.
culture. We can't do that with sleep. So we have to recognize that. So we are E, and then we're going to the P. That is powering off your mind. So but you have to do the few things as I told you before you can power. You can't just like turn your phone and get to bed. You won't. So remember those things.
Mm.
So how do you power your mind? So this is few things I tell people is like yoga nidra. Nidra means nothingness. It's a very ancient
Mm.
process. You just lay in your bed like a corpse. With fold your arms up front and just start thinking of nothingness. So you have to let go. So that's what that's easy, but it is hard, right? But you've done A, B, and C. Now you're able to do D. And also, I'm using my technique that I've developed. It's called vivid imagination to sleep. So I watch a show, read a book, and then when I lay in bed, I have my own interpretation how it shows the next day, right? So it's my own imagination. I do practice it to this day. Even last night, I read a little chapter in a book, and I had my own imagination. So even if in the middle of the night you wake up, you can continue that. I'm the first person to tell vivid imagination to sleeping. It's a great technique. All my patients love it. They started forming their own imagination. How about that? So your own story. So the next day you can correlate how the book goes. So these are the techniques to power of your
Yeah.
mind. Okay.
Nice one.
All right. So we're done SLEEP, but now we're going to do sleep now, NOW. But I'm going to take NOS together. That's the best way. So NO means no to worries, right? So we all need to worry. That's life. We have worries. Everything happens. When I started my new business, I was worrying about bills. And so this is my own strategy. I tell people to have your own dedicated worrying time. I usually do that 6 to 8 p.m. Right. I got to get on this show. I got to do all the paperwork. I'm done by 8. I don't look into anything. So I actually write it down, the things I can do. I write it down so I tackle it the next day. So 6 to 8 is my worrying time. You don't worry in bed. Bed.
Oh, I like a
Yes.
lot. Okay.
Yes. Bed is for sex and sleeping, not snoring and worrying. How about that?
Like it. Oh, I like it so
Yes.
much.
So worrying time. So NO. So you guys got everything now. The last one is the W, win. Win by simplifying. I say win by losing, right? You are losing yourself into sleep. Not that win-win hustle culture. You win by easy
Yes.
peasy getting into bed. What a concept, right? This is my I've developed a course on it, which is soon coming on my website. So this is my own techniques. I've fallen off. I had insomnia as a med student. Even now I have to take exams. Test anxiety was huge. Then when my mom passed away, then I went started my business, but I was able to figure it out. So I want to teach it to the world. I know what it is, not to sleep. I know how it is. I've done shift work. I've done my own problems with insomnia. So, but I'm able to capture all the things over the last several years and give it to the folks because this works. I've given it to my hundreds of patients who come and see me. They're all like doing much better. So we got the SLEP, NOW. I'm sure everybody has taken notes of it.
Uh,
The schedule, low light, electronics, exercise, power off, no to worrying, and
mm.
win by losing. How about that, Stephen?
Fantastic. Well, that's what
All
we
right.
need, a
Yes.
simplified, practical approach. And I think
Correct.
that is a wonderful tick box
Yes.
recipe to actually
Yes.
get started. And it
Yes.
shows, I love it how you tackled the multiple dimensions that
Yes.
affect our sleep. I would
Correct.
love Let me go into some of those points again. When you were saying exercise, I very much assume that you're talking about cardio exercise,
Correct.
that we have increased our
Yes.
metabolic system to
Yes.
70, 80%
Yes. Correct.
of capacity. And that for a little while, of course, you're getting all out there.
Yes.
What
That's
about then?
exactly.
I mean, like, for example, many martial arts clubs, they train in the evening.
Correct.
But certainly in some of the martial arts that I studied, there was a spiritual component at the end where we actually
Yes.
would power down, where there would actually be some calming down, similar to yoga,
Yes.
similar to mindfulness exercises, breathing exercises. Will that not be able to counteract the adrenaline, the cortisol, all the things that we have done before?
Absolutely, those are ancient practices. I think what when you do that, they're stimulating another hormone called oxytocin, which is the milk producing hormone. Even oxytocin is produced after a lot of the hot baths and sauna. That's an
Mm,
ancient technique. So by doing that, you are stimulating oxytocin, and
mm,
still good for 3 to 4 hours. So
mm,
that's why they've tapped into it. It's great. It works like I said, you
mm,
can't paint a broad brush for all people, but those techniques are excellent.
Mm.
The yoga, the stretching, the
Mm.
martial arts, all that
Exactly.
create another pathway. Perfect.
Indeed.
That's
Indeed.
great to do.
Indeed.
Yes.
I've recently become a breath coach and a flexibility coach, so yoga. And all these exercises, if you really look at them and then analyze them, they're essentially there and they're interrupting the fight and flight and freeze
Correct.
mechanisms within the body. We are
Yes.
actually starting off the parasympathetic nervous system to gain power and get going. So therefore, that is
Yes.
actually naturally leading into our sleep if we utilize it in a proper way, similar to the yoga nidra that you have just
Yes.
commented on.
Right.
The other thing I want to say is that most of us are running around try-like crisps. As an anesthetist, I see it again and again and again.
Yeah.
People say,
Yes.
no, I drink normally. And then even a few hours without water, they get a headache and etc. To just show to me, hang on, you're chronically dehydrated. So there is the thing of rehydration, but the timing of water intake. What do you recommend to your patients to A, make sure that they are hydrated, which then reduces fight and flight. On the flip side, not too overhydrated that they have to go to the toilet 3 or 5 times in the night. What do you recommend there?
Up is using the restroom, so not to drink too much, at least an hour or two prior to going to sleep. And of course, alcohol is a separate topic.
Absolutely. We'll talk about that in a second. Come on, man. The name of this show was previously My
Yes,
Steps to
yes,
Sobriety.
yes,
No
yes,
shit, Sherlock. We will come to that. But no, I'm
yes,
talking just with the fluid, because
yes,
one of the other things that often
yes,
helps when you
yes,
want to go to sleep is that you actually lie in bed, but wrong way around, assuming you have got the headboard against the wall, and then raise your legs up and have 15 minutes just raising your legs up into the air, lying flat on your back. What will happen is an auto-transfusion of about half a liter of fluid
right,
coming back into your system, which actually
yes,
rehydrates you. And your body says, wow, okay, there's the fluid I was yearning for.
yes.
So what do you think about that?
Yes, the body, what it does, it conserves this process, the fluid system. So that's why if you look at the early morning, your pee or urine is concentrated. So
Mm,
it has tried its best to halt the process of making
mm,
more urine. So that's the most concentrated urine you'll have. So you want to keep. So I kind of tell people not to drink too much hydration. Hydration should be during the day
mm,
to clear the waste. We are,
mm,
we burn a lot of end products during the day because of what we do. So you want to hydrate, and I
mm.
tell to people to take it easy before at least 2 hours.
Yes.
You don't want too much water.
Mm,
Lifting the legs increases the venous return when you lay on your back,
mm,
so it increases. And people ask me what's the best side to sleep. So the inferior vena cava, which is a collapsible vessel, is on the right side, and the aorta, the big blood vessel, is on the left side. So if you lay on the right side, especially pregnant women, you're hampering the flow of blood in. So if you get a choice, the left side is good, back is good. I try to tell people to avoid the right side because you're collapsing the venous return back,
mm,
because the inferior vena cava is a pliable, it's a compressible blood vessel. So great points.
mm,
Raising the leg for a few minutes prior to it's also a great technique.
mm. Cool. Uh, you were previously talking about all these beautiful hormones that are
Yes.
released in a natural way through our
Correct.
circadian rhythms, but also
Yes.
that we can stimulate. And one of them you mentioned was our good old melatonin. Um,
Yes.
Melatonin is something that basically tells our body, okay, time to go to bed now.
Correct.
Now, nowadays, you can get melatonin through a number of sources. I mean, in the United States, it's freely available as a
Yes.
nutraceutical.
Yes.
And there are increasing studies coming out that show benefits of melatonin if you take it in supernormal doses. What do you think about melatonin? Are you a fan? Are you a manipulator, or are you saying, nah, leave it to nature?
So I'm not a huge fan of melatonin, but I do use it in my practice for
Mm,
certain disorders like the clock problem. Some people tend to sleep later, like the
mm,
night owls, and some people, especially older adults, they tend to go earlier. So
mhm,
that's when I use melatonin. Of course, I use melatonin regularly for jet lag.
mm,
So this is the key factor about melatonin. Melatonin just does not put you to sleep. It just changes the time when you go to sleep.
mm,
And so you have to take it at least 2 to 3 hours earlier for it to act. So, and people take a
mm,
lot of melatonin. It is touted at a lot of beneficial effects, but we make our own melatonin. The body will
mm,
just tear it out. If you know what you take in your mouth. So I am right. I use melatonin only in those circumstances. Clock problem and jet lag problem.
mm,
That's it. I don't tell people to depend on melatonin, because our melatonin is the way the brain secretes our melatonin is it's like a pulsatile. It just pulses up, down.
mm,
But here, what happens with when you take it and endogenous, or something from you're taking, you have a peak, like a
mm,
lot of absorption, and then there is a down. So if you're not doing the right things, it won't have its effect.
mm,
So
mm,
I'm not a proponent for going to sleep.
mm,
So my techniques, what I've used to manufacture your own melatonin, is I think is more potent and that can be lasting for a
mm,
long time than
mm.
external melatonin.
And there's of course something to be said that a certain any kind of medications that you use to change
Yes,
hormones, they
yes,
will have flow-on effects that maybe are not so predictable.
correct.
Having said that, I mean, some studies show increased pain relief and chronic pain with the
Correct.
use of 10 milligram of melatonin.
Yes,
So there might be outside of the box kind of uses of these
yes,
doses. But
yes.
I for quite some time I used melatonin 10 milligram,
Hmm.
which is
Hmm.
freely available
Yeah,
overseas. Um,
yeah,
it is actually a huge whopping dose.
yeah,
I did a Dutch test, which is
yes,
a comprehensive hormone test, and
yeah.
there was my melatonin, which was sort of off the
Spike.
charts
Yes,
I mean 10,000 potencies.
yeah.
So you see
It's a
what is then,
spike.
yeah, absolutely, and what a size, bloody hell.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's only then that you actually appreciate it. You think, wow, okay, that's
yeah,
quite a hammer for the system there.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
but there are milder versions. So we've
yeah.
got a 10 milligram melatonin here in New Zealand. We get 2 3 milligram, but there's also tart cherry, and there are sort of more natural ways how you can actually stimulate the melatonin release. What do you think about them?
I don't have much experience in that
Yeah,
variation.
yeah,
I recommend melatonin. If at all you have to take it, I tell people to take not more than 3 milligrams,
yeah.
3 hours prior to going to sleep.
Mm,
Of course, the tart and the lot of combinations helps the delivery of this, the chemical melatonin. So I don't have much experience
mm.
in that field.
Fair call. Fair call.
Mhm.
Okay. Now let's come to the alcohol, because
Yes.
after all, there's such a vast mixture of things to be able to talk about here. In the first instance,
Yes.
some people say, "Oh, I have a nice drink and then go to bed. That relaxes me, and it's just nice
Yes.
for me."
Yes.
What
Yes.
do you think
Yes.
about the influence of alcohol and sleep?
It is a perfect alcohol mimics sleep, but it's not good sleep.
Correct.
It anesthetizes the brain. So you
Correct.
are going to sleep. You're drowning your brain. It's not natural. The
Uh,
natural process of sleep is the chemical, interplay, the dark hormones, the bright hormones, stimulating,
yeah.
sedative. So, but alcohol just drowns the brain and then you're out. So, but the challenge, this is the challenge. Alcohol is metabolized into acetaldehyde, right? So a few hours later, the acetaldehyde kicks in and you wake up, right? And already alcohol is also a diuretic. So you're going to be dehydrated. You have this chemical, the acetaldehyde, which is building up. So you have the classic middle of the night awakening
Uh,
in in a bad state, like an hangover state. So this is the two basic reasons for hangover. So I don't recommend alcohol for going to sleep. It is good to relaxing, it gets you in a mood. So that's it. If you want to use it for that, for your taste, for your palate, having a good time, but please do not use alcohol to go to sleep. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100% agreed. 100%.
Yes.
And
Yes.
certainly I lived that life. And it
Yes.
was the 3 o'clock in the morning, bing,
Yeah.
wide
Yes.
awake. And I call
Yes.
it anxiety because you have
Yes.
got your hungover. You
Yeah.
still get the same problems. You're now
Yes.
anxious and
Yeah.
guilt-ridden
Yeah.
and maybe a bit ashamed that you drank again too much
Yeah.
and wonder
Yes.
what the hell you did whilst you can't remember so much
Correct.
of it. Put it all
Yes.
together. That is all in addition to the normal rubbish problems that are affecting your life.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
agree so much as far as
Yeah.
the sleep is concerned. But then
Yes.
again, come on, tell us about Mummy's Little Helpers. The 70s, everyone was dishing out benzodiazepines, Valium for
Yeah.
Mummy,
Mm.
Rohypnol, all the good stuff. Come on.
All right.
The whole generation before us was brought up on that, and look, they haven't died.
Yes. So it is so important, right? If you are not sleeping, you are going to be worse off.
Mm,
So the role of hypnotics or medication to put to sleep is very, very interesting. Do I use hypnotics in my practice? Yes. If I try everything and it's not working, some people do need medications, and you can't cure 100% of the people. So, but before I do that, I want to make sure you don't have other sleep disorders like
mm,
sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, limb movement during,
mm.
sleep,
Nice.
heart problem, lung problem. You also mentioned about pain affecting sleep, and also anxiety and depression. All those things have to be ruled out
Mm,
before you can just say this is clear cut primary insomnia or chronic insomnia. We need medications for that. So,
beautiful.
so the benzodiazepines have been there for a long time. Valium, and also now for anxiety we use Ativan or lorazepam in this country. So those things. So people want to sleep. So when I make a decision, their sleep is more important than the side effects of a medication, then I
Mm,
have to prescribe. I usually do prescribe,
mm,
medication. So there's so much
mm,
excitement in this world. It's this called the DORAs. There's a new medication, type of medication, called, DORAs. These are dual orexin receptor antagonists. So that's I'm sure you are also, it's been in the market for about 5 years.
uh,
So those that medication, so it kind of, the orexin is the one, that keeps us awake. If you look at narcolepsy, and
mm,
patients with narcolepsy don't have orexin, so this one blocks the orexin. So and there are, some of them, so this is very targeted. Valium numbs the brain, it gets over the GABA, like I was talking about. So this one focus on, norepinephrine, epinephrine, serotonin, and histamine. The actually focus on those things.
mm,
So when you have orexin, it stimulates, this the
mm,
stimulatory chemical. So these medications are attacking the orexin receptors. So that's a great excitement. And
mm.
when I decide on a medication, I choose one of this class of medications. A great excitement because the Valiums and the diazepams, they were all like carpet bombing the brain. Just like alcohol attacks many
Absolutely.
receptors. So this is like a target focused, laser guided focus on that
Nice.
area of the brain.
Nice.
Insomnia I also think is like a brush fire, which is already, it's always burning in your brain. So
Mm,
we're just focusing on that instead of carpet bombing the whole brain. So that's great excitement, and
mm,
I'm happy that this
mm.
class of medications are there.
Beautiful. Now that makes a lot
Yes.
of sense because it's so
Yes.
important to realize that if we do something so fundamental and essentially destructive to our brain, at least as far as function is concerned,
Yeah.
functionally destructive, as giving benzodiazepines on a
Yes.
repeated basis,
Yes.
it will the body will try to counteract that, because the body tries to sense, well, hang on, there's something there.
Correct.
So therefore, at some stage,
Yes.
these benzodiazepines won't work so well anymore. You've got
Correct.
tachyphylaxis. So, you need more and more and more to achieve the same
Correct.
thing, similar
Correct.
to what alcohol does.
Correct.
Well, he can hold his liquor. Basically
Yes.
means he is drinking so much that he needs more and more and more and more.
Correct.
So translate that correctly. And it's the same with
Yes.
benzodiazepines and many of the
Yes.
other sleeping medications.
Tolerance.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
Exactly
body.
right.
And then the most feared complication is mixing the benzodiazepine and alcohol. Here, 2 + 2 is not 4. 2 + 2 is like 10.
Mm,
So that's also common. If you're going to abuse one, you have that tendency,
mm.
and you're going to use another medicine. So then all of a sudden it just goes. I mean, how many incidences of we are hearing about? This sad, tragic endings of people overdosing on medication and alcohol. So it's the additive effect. Like I mentioned, it's not it just takes
No.
off.
Synergistic effect. It's
You got it.
exactly, and that's
Yes.
so hard. And people
Yes.
don't realize that, and people don't
Yes.
realize that we are our own worst enemies. Because
Yes.
let's take the
Yes.
classic example here.
Mhm.
Let's say we have got a truck driver.
Yes.
Who is the whole day sitting in his
Yes.
job,
Yeah.
eating not necessarily healthy, has gone up
Yes.
in size quite a bit,
Yes.
is working long, stressful hours, shift
Yes.
driving, weird times driving, his sleep
Yes.
is not great. So we've got obesity, hypertension. We have got disturbed
Diabetes.
sleep, diabetes already going there. He has gone up
Yes.
in size. He snores as much as his truck does when it starts up.
Yes.
So we now need to say that, well, hang on. First of all these kind of webs are interlinking. But what we
Yes.
are creating there is a gentleman who is actually very soon at a life and death kind of phase, because we are talking about a disease called obstructive sleep apnea,
Perfect.
OSA.
Yes.
And this dude is a sitting duck for it. Now, I know that, you know that, Bijoy, but tell us a bit about obstructive sleep apnea, because I think that's a pandemic that is hitting certainly the Western world, but equally the developing world, because everyone is getting bigger and there's a strong link with obesity. So shoot away, OSA.
Oh, yeah, that's if you look at my folks who come to see me, it's half and half. Half cannot sleep, half are tired, or they sleep too much, or they have sleep apnea. So the beauty is, there's one word you mentioned is obstructive sleep apnea. Everybody says sleep apnea, but there's literally an obstruction. When you lay down, the tongue falls back and the airway is narrowed because of obesity. So all the airways narrowed. So when it is narrowed and when you sleep, you lose all the tone, and then all of a sudden the brain is sensing there's no airflow and it wakes you up. So when you wake up, there is a chemical reaction that flight or fight happens at night. So you have flight or fight during the day and your body's supposed to heal at night. So you would just wake up without your knowledge. Most of the time, patients with sleep apnea don't wake up, it's their spouse. And that's called the sleep divorce. The sound is like a truck driver and people are sleeping separately. That's the term it's coming up. It's called sleep divorce. Everybody is leaving that. So that sound is the air going through a narrow passage, but in the brain, it's waking you up. That response, it triggers a flight or fight, and then so you have high blood pressure. Same also causes high blood sugars. So and you're tired because you're not even sleeping. So you're tired during the day, right? So what's the normal healing that happens in our brain is not happening because of the one treatable condition called obstructive sleep apnea.
And whilst you say, "Oh, you're waking up," that sounds, sounds okay. What I want you to imagine now, that right now, somebody's trying to strangle you, right? Literally, and your body's like,
Yeah.
it's the same. Imagine that psychological effect of your body dying.
Yeah. Correct.
And that is now happening 3, 4, 5 times a minute.
Yes.
this is a severe sleep apnea, but that is not so uncommon. OSA is at least 3 to 4% of the population out there, and probably
But it's
much
more.
higher.
It's much
exactly.
higher.
Oh, exactly.
It's much higher.
You and I
Yes.
know that, but these
Yes,
are the
yes.
quoted figures. So
Yes.
it's affecting so many more. And
I would
so
say about at least 10%.
10% is in
correct.
in
Is
American
easily-
practice. Yeah.
Yes, easily.
Yeah, you have to look where these figures are coming from. So obviously in a very obese society or in a very obese part of the United States, no
It's
surprise.
even much higher. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
really, really important. You're talking about a severe interruption. Now,
Correct.
OSA, 90% are big people.
Yes.
But 10% are very slim people,
Correct.
where just anatomical
You got it.
ways are there. So guys, only just because you're not big, but you're snoring doesn't mean to say that you don't have it. So please go to see a GP, family physician, and actually say, hey, look, I'm snoring so much.
Yes.
Can we talk about that? Because we have given you the physiology and pathophysiology yet.
Correct.
Let's talk about the figures.
Yes.
What's your mortality and morbidity with, let's do mortality, you dying. Okay, what's the chance of you dying when you have got severe OSA?
Correct. So OSA as such does not cause mortality, but provided you have other conditions, most people with obstructive sleep apnea also have cardiovascular problems, right? Because high blood pressure is one of the underlying causes of cardiovascular problem. So let's say you have a heart problem. So when you wake up, you're triggering arrhythmia. So the number one cause of people dying in their sleep with sleep apnea is an arrhythmia. So, and also most people die between 2 and 6 because that's where you have REM. REM is like I mentioned, it's a turbulent time. You have a lot of cardiovascular changes happen. Your mind is beating fast. There's chemical, norepinephrine secreted, adrenaline. So high heart rate, and you trigger and you die in your sleep. So in such, if you look at the population as such, is probably about it's not statistically probably significant to die from sleep apnea, but when you have other comorbid conditions like heart problem and also lung problem, if you have like COPD, so you are more likely chances of dying in your sleep because sleep apnea is common in this group of people.
Absolutely. And what will happen is just this kind of constant threat will affect, for example, the blood that is flowing to the lungs. And we get a raised blood pressure, permanently raised blood pressure in the blood vessels going to the lungs, pulmonary hypertension. And that's something that easily can kill you. We talked about the heart attacks and the increased rate of arrhythmias. I add to that the massively increased risk of this truck driver to actually causing an accident. Now, he is sitting in a freaking tank, so he will not get affected by that mortality, but it's the mortality of the little car that was driving in front of him that is now very flat. So we know that if you look statistically from a trauma perspective, people with OSA, severe OSA, have massively increased risks of road traffic accidents. So when you look at those kind of implications, then I would actually say there is, in someone with OSA, severe OSA, in his middle age, typically by that time they have got their hypertension, their diabetes, etc. I would say, yeah, we would give it probably from a trauma and overall perspective, as an anesthetist, I would give it 20-30% mortality to actually say, add it all together. You're toast, brother, or sister, Right. It's not just the boys, okay?
Yes,
so,
yes. So, here in the United States, there is a Department of Transportation. They have their own rules. They measure the neck circumference if it is over 17 inches. And if you have diabetes, you have high blood pressure, you're supposed to have a sleep evaluation. So I have a lot of, commercial truck drivers who come to my office to get tested. Yes.
Interesting.
They come reluctantly, understandably so, but, when they get treatment, they feel better. Everybody is safer. So yes, so it's
isn't it?
They do a good job here, Department of Transportation, in screening.
Brilliant.
when they renew their license.
Nice. I don't think we have such a strict system here because it's not so uncommon that I detect people like that. And of course, it is then an issue of livelihood. Because if this, if we suddenly say, hey, look, man, you can't keep going, well, there are not these great economic safety systems around. So it is a challenge. But at the same token, we need to bring it home to those people that, hey, look, at the moment you're just vegetating. You're not living.
Yes.
And I had that some years ago now. I had a gentleman had broken his ankle. I assessed him before the anesthetic, and I figured out he had obstructive sleep apnea. I said, "Look, man, you need a sleep study. You come on, go." And he said, "No, okay." So we fixed his ankle. I forgot about him. And a few months later, I was walking into a shop here, and the sales guy straight for me and looked me in the eyes and said, "You can't remember me, can you?" And I said, "No, I'm sorry." And he said, "You changed my life. You rescued my life. I had my sleep study. I have got now I've got a CPAP machine. I'm completely a new man."
Yes.
And I thought, great, hopefully I will get a reduction on the price of the barbecue. And the bugger didn't give me anything, bastard. But
after the show today,
that's right. I go back to no, I'm not hunting for reductions in prices. But I was just want to bring it home that this guy didn't even realize, as so many people who struggle from sleep problems, they don't realize how bad they are until they get better. And then suddenly they look back and think, wow.
If we should have taken care of her earlier.
Oh, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Look,
you said, you said, the sleep problems are, they're slow. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't like it doesn't hurt like a toothache, or it doesn't grow like cancer. But it with time, it's going to get you. So that's the problem, because we are if it hurts so bad, we're going to take care of it right now. There's no pain with it. It's a silent killer. We call it the silent but not so silent killer. So we have to pay attention to snoring. Yeah,
absolutely. Snoring and interrupted sleep. There have been, in the 70s, people did a lot of crazy studies, but there was one study I remember where they actually tried to figure out how long can you actually go without sleep. And it was the kind of all tricks were allowed. Everything was going. You could do anything, but don't go without sleep. And from memory, it was the longest they could do was 98 hours. Then they actually had a suitcase of $1 million. Literally there. Here's $1 million. I'm not sure if they were fake or what it was, but it was $1 million. And showed it to the study participants, said, look, come on, 2 more hours. Let's break the 100. Let's go there. And they were unable to do it.
Correct.
So that was the study that I remember, and it forever lodged in my head. I'm not sure if people have pushed the boundaries of physiology. How long can you go without sleep?
See, even if you, I used to do long shifts. Sometimes we push to about 36 hours, right around 36 hours, you can't. So I would say, body function starts after like 24 hours, it starts. And by about, 94 days, you're completely lost. You're disoriented. And, you can't function. When you're not functioning, you're no use to anybody.
Absolutely.
Mainly yourself and everybody around you. So I wouldn't recommend long shifts. So even here, a lot of people are, the medical society has come a great job in doing long shifts. They don't work more than 12 hours or 8 hours. The residents in training and all that come down hard in the last 20 years.
Nice. And the same for us. So I went through the same transformation in my profession. There is something to be said to know where the limits of your body are. So I have worked 24 hours pretty much without a break. We know from studies in driving simulators, etc., that really if you work 16 hours straight, your mistake rate is the same as, give or take, a bottle of wine. If you go 24 hours, give or take 2 bottles of wine. Okay, so that is about the decrementation, or the reduction in function that you experience. So sleep is important, and these studies proved it to you again and again.
Yes.
So now, wow. Okay. The other thing you earlier mentioned, I think I want to come back to that, is when you have got sleep problems, I think it is not just a matter of, okay, I will now take that on all myself and I will do this course with Bijoy. No doubt your course is superb. No two ways around that. But may I say that, as with so many things, one of your first stops after recognizing that sleep might be an issue is to go to your GP, to your family physician, because you need to have a bit of a health checkup to actually see
Yes.
what else is going on here.
Yes. The
Have
body
you,
is telling you something. Yeah.
exactly. Have
Mhm.
you actually developed a degree of heart failure that, or some issues that
High
cause
blood pressure, diabetes.
diabetes, those kind of things that make you go 3 times in the morning hours to the toilet? Well, that's an
Yes.
alarm symptoms. Can you actually lie flat, or do you really enjoy 2 free pillows? Which could mean again that your heart is in trouble.
Correct.
What
All
are your
memory problems.
yeah?
People, one of the treatable causes of Alzheimer's is taking care of your sleep apnea.
Ah,
Or, of course, we didn't even talk about the libido, low sex.
mm,
So the low testosterone levels associated with sleep apnea. So
no.
it affects from top to bottom, all organs.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And that's so
Yes.
beautiful that we highlight that. I think that from a systematic approach, I would say
Yeah.
virtually everyone should have regular visits to the GP,
Correct.
ideally 3 monthly, at least
Yes.
6 monthly otherwise, um, to really um, make sure that everything is ticking right. Just as
Correct.
much as your car needs a service, you need a
Yes.
service, and that might be some blood tests, etc. And often things sneak up on us. So don't
Yes.
be silly.
Yes.
Do root out the nasty things first. And then
Correct.
once you know that you are fine, then it's time for you to dive into a transformation that you can lead with a
Yes.
wingman by your side, with
Correct.
someone who, with a coach, with a
Yes.
man who actually knows, or woman, or being, who
Yes.
knows what they are doing. So I think,
Right.
guys, please play that as a general rule. Whatever we say here, this is not medical advice. And yes, it is, because we're two doctors, for crying out loud. But at the
Yes.
same token, you need a care that is tailored to you, to your
Right.
circumstances, to your specific body. So, and we can't,
Yes.
therefore, we can only give you generalized insights here. And that's what this is all about. We want to plant
Correct.
seeds. We want to tell
Educate.
you, yeah, educate.
Yes. Yes.
And we want to tell you that there's hope, that there
Yes.
is help out there. You are not
Correct.
alone. This is a
Yes.
huge pandemic. I loved how you called it, Bijoy, because it's a
Yes.
pandemic that is
It
hitting.
affects all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
And we can do
Yes.
so much about it. Sleep
Yes.
now. What more
Yes.
can I say? Sleep now. Bijoy, you're amazing. So tell us
Yes.
again the name of your book. Has
Yes.
it been released? When is it coming out?
It's in the press. It's You can pre-order. There's so much need. My book actually made Amazon's #1 seller without any publicity. so,
Well, no
so the
doubt about it.
the publishers are doing something called, they call it in their term, crashing it. They were going to release in July, but they're saying there's so much demand, they're going to push it to February now. So, but it's
Nice.
ready to
Nice.
order on
Nice.
all the places that people buy books. It's everywhere. If you just Google "nobody is sleeping," and then you can find it.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Guys, look down there into the description of the YouTube video and of the podcast, because everything is down there. Bijoy, where can people learn more about you? What's your website and what are other social media handles?
Right. So I even took my own name. I'm Dr. Sleep Fix.
Perfect. Well,
And my new venture, or my company, is called www.sleepfixacademy.com. So you'll have
perfect.
everything you need: podcasts, journals, my all my handles. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and also TikTok. And so I'm on all the and LinkedIn and Twitter.
Perfect.
And so I
Perfect.
want to get the message. I want to heal the world. You will heal if you sleep better. I just want to teach people how to sleep, because that's my joy. I want to give it to everyone. I want to share it.
Yeah.
So let's all have it. We're doing our part to get the word around. So, sleep well and be well, and let's go conquer the world.
I love that. I love that.
Yes,
Because
sir.
truly, I mean, I do this show because I'm convinced we can make this world a better place. And you
Yes.
have got a very beautiful niche.
Yes.
And in that niche, you have got a very practical approach. And I love that.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
no, that's brilliant. Let's make this world
Yes.
a better place, guys.
Yes.
But you
Yes.
guys need to out there, you listeners and viewers, you need to start in your own backyard there.
Correct.
Sleep now. Try to
Yes.
implement those things. They can
Yes.
sometimes they can be challenging. If you
Yes.
are living in a very noisy neighborhood and maybe have
Yes.
15 children and
Yes.
lots of noise, it might not be so conducive to try that. But having said
Yes.
all that, maybe this could be a journey that not just you are going on, but maybe you and your spouse. And
Yes.
maybe you and your children. How about teaching
Yes.
your children that
Yes.
that same thing is there? So suddenly
Yes.
it's not you against the world,
A
but it's
family
actually
affair.
correct.
Yes.
So you can actually create some very quality time there by looking at health, looking at mindfulness, looking at being together. Hey,
Yes.
it's not you're doing an amazing job there, being a leader within the most important team that you've got, which is your family. How
Yes.
cool is
So
that?
in my book, I have several chapters for children, young adults, teenagers, and also dedicate a chapter for women. That's a separate topic by itself. Women's sleep is so nuanced, and also for older adults. I got the whole chapter for different, because I
Beautiful.
want this to be a family affair. It's just like a workout
Beautiful.
regimen or eating right. We got to do it together. So child
Absolutely.
is not sleeping, mom's not sleeping. Grandpa is snoring or walking around and sleep. Nobody is sleeping. So it's a family
Absolutely.
unit. We all have to
Absolutely.
go together. So that's
I love that.
so thanks for highlighting that.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Bijoy, I had a ball of a time.
Yes.
It was very intriguing, very interesting.
Yes.
Whilst I knew most of the things, there were many things which you rephrased just that little
Yes.
bit, where I suddenly
Yeah.
said, and so it just shows we can always learn, we can always
Yes.
improve, we can always fine tune. And that is the power of choice, the power of living intentionally. And that
Correct.
is what we're doing right now. We are enjoying our time. We're here and now. And because of that passion,
Yes.
that the thing that we both have, we can go out there and be our best versions. And I invite all my listeners to come onto this journey. Come on,
Yes.
it's beautiful.
Yes.
It just so happens that Bijoy and I are just a little bit further ahead of you.
Yes.
So we are still on the journey. We are transforming. We are going.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
All
wow.
our minds working together for a good cause, improve our health.
Yeah.
We can be better versions. So like the popular saying, iron sharpens iron. Let's do it. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
beautiful, beautiful.
Yes.
Bijoy,
Yes.
you're an amazing man. I'm so pleased
Yes.
that you decided to step outside of the ivory tower and go out there to make this world a better place. I so hope that you find hundreds of podcasts and hundreds of shows that allow you to spread the word, because your message is of such importance. So thank you so much for being a guest on my show. It was an honor.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. You are a great host, and I love these conversations. Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No trouble. And you guys out there, look after yourself and live with passion.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.